Hello, everybody. This is Leo Brady with AMovieGuy.com. I am really excited today to be with a award-winning documentary filmmaker, an award-winning filmmaker, Oscar-nominated filmmaker. We are here to talk about his excellent new documentary, Silver Dollar Road. This is Raoul Peck.
Hi.
Hi, Raoul. Thanks for being with me today.
Well, my pleasure.
I have to admit, I was when I was able to land this interview with you, I was a little bit intimidated. Your career has been on so many great paths. You're a great intellect, in my opinion. You've worked in the Haitian government, you've been a professor at universities, you've written books, and you are an award-winning filmmaker. But was being a filmmaker and being the documentary filmmaker that you are, was that always the goal? I mean, I know that wasn't what you studied in college.
Well, no, and I'm from Haiti, and in Haiti, as a young boy, if you tell your parents that you want to become an artist, they will laugh at you. It's like that's something you do when you miss everything else, that you're a loser. So I did have to follow the usual path, is to try to go to university, which I did, and I studied industrial engineering in Germany.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was finished and I had a diploma that I could say, okay, now I want to do what I want, which is I went back to film school. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's interesting too. I wanted to ask you too on like how you even come to a decision on what your next film would be, and even here with Silver Dollar Road, when do you say to yourself in the process, this is going to be my next documentary? Are you like working on one film and then you're prepping the next one? Is that how it goes for you?
Well, for most filmmakers, especially when you make documentary, it is the case, because you need a lot of research. You need it takes time. You need to convince people. In that particular case, that project was brought to me by ProPublica and Amazon and Juvie Productions, because they were themselves working on the project for a long time. Lizzie Presser, she's the journalist of ProPublica who did the inquiry, who spent several years working on it. So I was in the lucky position to have all this at my disposal, and I was able to see, okay, yes, there is a film in there, and what kind of film it could be. And I didn't have the burden to do my own research, because Lizzie really did a great job. Yeah. And they had an incredible set of footage, because they had camera teams who did spend quite a time with the family. That's why you have all those incredible images where, you feel that you're living with them. And that gave me the clear direction for this film, is that I wanted to be totally in the point of view of the family, and to be with them, and to evade the usual approach in American documentary, which is to, like to have both sides, or to have a crime and then you have one people on the other side and the other one. So it was for me a rare occasion to give voice to that particular American family and go through their ordeal with them and give them the whole space, and not having to worry about whatever other sides or whatever, bad guys or not. Because when you do that, it's a way to personalize a story and to make it as it has no connection with society as a whole, or the history of this country as a whole. And what interested me was exactly the contrary. It's through the real story, you see the whole history of America, starting with stealing land of the indigenous people.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. You're sort of answering my next question. I mean, this film is like incredibly poignant, and it does tell more than just a story about the Rios family and their land. So like, is that for you just trust? I mean, do you trust that the story itself, it starts small with, yes, it's just about a family and their property, but as you tell that story, you understand that the larger scope will pull back, and it's more than just a family, it's America, it's our government issues, it's the way people have treated Black Americans from the
Yeah.
beginning of time.
Yeah.
Is that just natural, or does that just come natural there?
No, I think I had an exceptional set of characters who not only knew exactly their own story, but they had a point of view and a reflection about that. A woman like Mammy, who is one of the main characters, she has a quite clear view of what America is. So I let her do the job for me.
Yeah.
She know exactly what it means when you are born somewhere, and it's not just about the land. It's not just about that the land allow you to raise a family. Those people, they didn't need anything else. They had strapped themselves with their bootstrap already.
Yeah. Yeah.
The crazy requirement. So they also have a clear view of what's going on. When she said, once they buy all the land, what are they going to do with us, poor people?
Right.
And because she started to say, to us, Black people, and then she corrected herself, to us, poor people. That means she has a clear class view
Yeah.
of this country, of what's going on. And so that was that is why I let them tell the story. And it's clear they themselves anchor it in history.
Right.
When she said in the last 60 years, since the beginning of the civil rights movement, I don't see what have changed. And I don't think it's going to change. Those are strong words.
Yeah.
And it's told by somebody who grew up through that in the South, in North Carolina, in this country county of Carteret,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so I was going to ask you too. I mean, we are currently living in times where, you have states in the United States where parents, teachers, politicians specifically, we have situations where books are being banned, like that you have school boards wanting what I would view as alternate versions of history, trying to cover up and make things seem like things weren't ever bad when there's a harsh reality to this history of America that we have. So how does an important story like the Rios family at Silver Dollar Road sort of shine a light on that reality of Black America that's still happening today? I mean, is that sort of, I know that's not maybe the end goal, but it's like at least a documentary like this can capture reality, capture a truth that people may want to avoid.
Yes, and I think it brings on the table evidence, evidence of real lives, of real events, and then you can start connecting the dots. And I do hope that a film like this, beside creating anger in you, because that's what I get from people who have seen the film. It's this sense of anger, of injustice, does force you to go ask more questions, to go find books and to clear out maybe some false notion that you had about this country. And for me, making a film like this is just the beginning. It's not the end. Again, I don't make product where you can just swallow them and put them away and that's it. No, for me, making a film like this is the beginning of something bigger. And we are working on that to make it bigger. We are giving access to other group, because there are a lot of institutions and also lawyers, activists who are working on this very subject of health property, by example, or Black farmer who are still trying to get money that were voted for them, and now they are under lawsuit by rich white farmers who said that they are now being discriminated. I mean, that's history, on the upside down,
Right.
and as you say, a situation where now you are banning books that are trying the little bit of trying to tell the real story
Right.
are being rejected. You can imagine the craziness of all this. You don't even know your real story, but the little that we are trying to bring to you, it's too much. You feel uncomfortable. We don't want our children to be uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
do they realize that a big majority of minorities were and are still uncomfortable all their life?
Right. Right.
Not mentioning the trauma of all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. I want to get you like it sort of goes hand in hand about talking about the trauma of this. What I watched your interview with Jonathan Capehart. I absolutely loved something that you said in that interview. You said what was sorry, so you wanted the audience to love this family the way that you do. And when I heard you say that, I just was like, I immediately knew what you were talking about. But what was it for you about this family that made you have such a great love, like instantly? I think there's an instant love there.
Yeah, because they are real. All my life I've been trying to make film about reality,
Yeah.
and not. I never saw entertainment as something that is fake and construct. I'm looking, and most documentary filmmaker, they are trying to get to the roots of thing, to the bones of thing.
Yeah.
And in this family, I found that, and in a very protect way, and I had to embed myself in their life
Yeah.
and observe and try to understand, and it was also an incredible occasion to show real people on the wider screen, because they don't get that kind of attention in cinema, by example.
Right.
So that's why I erase everything else. I gave them the podium, I gave them the mic,
Yeah.
and I saw in them my own family. I grew up in so many different places, but I know these grandmothers, I know those uncles, I know those niece and nephew, and I wanted to transmit that to the audience as well. And that's why also I didn't start with the conflict. I didn't start with the prison.
Right.
I wanted you to feel something about that family.
Yeah.
Then when the drama arrived, it's even more, traumatic, because those are people you love. Those are people you have been living with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to ask you even too. I mean, for our audience, they may not know. I mean, basically, LaCurtis, two of the family members, LaCurtis and Melvin, were arrested for trespassing on land that was deemed not their own when they had been living there their whole life. I mean, they were put through an incredibly egregious situation, wrongfully imprisoned. I mean, it's the only way to call it. But yet they still had this amazing spirit at the end. I mean, they were in prison for almost 8 years, I believe it was.
Yeah.
What was it that you picked up on them? Like, was there a sadness behind the scenes, or was this just who these two men were, where they had such great sort of, I don't know, ability to stay strong in such inhumanity?
No, you know what I felt is also what I feel when people ask me, why are you making those kind of film? And I respond, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
If I want to survive, if I want to feel and know who I am, that's why I make those films. And for them, it's the same. It's like somebody comes to a place, to a house you built, to a garden you grow, to everything you have known, not only since you were born, but since your grandmother and your great grandmother were born. So what absurd thing that somebody came from out of nowhere. By the way, the last owner never set foot on the property. He bought it on paper.
Right.
So this is absurd for you,
Yeah.
and so there is not even a question when the judge asked them, okay, you're going to sign that paper that said you're going to destroy your house,
Yeah.
your two houses, and you're going to vacate. it's just don't click. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
So they say, of course not.
Right.
And so they are put in prison for contempt.
Right.
And where that becomes even more scandalous is that, contempt, you go to jail for a week or a few days,
Right.
and anyway, you have to come back in front of a judge, the latest in 90 days. But they were basically put in a sheriff jail,
Yeah.
not a prison, a facility where you have all sorts of services, you can go out, etc. No, in a sheriff jail, and with limited time. They were never condemned to a month, to a year, to 2 years.
Right.
It could have continued.
Yeah.
So that's what is revolting. And to stick those two men, in their 50s and 60s in jail for something that belongs to them,
Right.
and you have no way of proving that it's the other way around. And that's revolting. And they came strong out of it. They are traumatized, but it's like somebody is trying to erase your identity.
Yeah.
You will fight to death for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they have such strength at the end. I mean, it's honestly like I honestly could not fathom what they were thinking going through in that entire experience. This story is incredibly human. This story is incredibly important. I want to ask you one more question before I go. You've won an Emmy, you've won a Peabody for your Oscar nominated film, I'm Not Your Negro. You didn't win the Oscar, but in making documentary films, do the awards even matter? Is it more about telling stories like The Reals Family and getting audiences to see these things?
Well, for you, it matters indirectly. What I want to continue making are a great and strong film that can change you, that can change an issue. But the awards, of course, in particular, if it comes from your peers, they help you do the next one. They help you convince the industry for which it's a criteria. It's
Yeah.
not my criteria, but
Right.
for the industry, for the investors, it reassured them that they're not going to give you the money and then you will lose the money. So for that reason, it's a way to measure something. What is it? I don't know, but that's not why I make films.
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, Raoul Peck, thank you so much for talking with me today. Silver Dollar Road is going to be playing tonight for its premiere at the Chicago International Film Festival, which I can't wait for audiences to see it. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, take care.